Morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Wednesday the 23rd of April and we had a very strong close in US last night, 2.5% up on S&P 500 after touching the 5,115 support, and pre-market it has continued also because Tesla were quite strong in the aftermarket. We have here pre-market another 1.6 on the US 500 CFD. As you can see here, market closed here yesterday and bounced further, but strong resistance around 5,500 should be observed. I'm not quite sure we'll get there just yet. Here we have Nasdaq 100 about 2.5%, 2.6% closed higher yesterday, and pre-market we can see that it's continued higher, about 2% it is indicated further, but still we have these dead cross up here on the 55 and 200. That will put a lid on the upside potential for sure. Resistance here at 19,231. That would be a bit of an obstacle to break, and if that is broken, well, then there's really strong resistance up here around 20,320, and that could be a bit of an obstacle too. The Dow Jones Industrial also about 2.6, 2.7 closed higher, and pre-market another 1%. It is indicated higher, but resistance here at 40,900. As you can see here on the US 30 CFD, if we go back to the cash market again, then it is this gap here we need to look at between 40,986 and 41,413. That should be observed. Now I need to adjust this. There we are, 41,382. You should keep an eye. This gap could be really hard to break or to close above. Also here we have 55 breaking below the 200, and I think they're both declining, so we also have a dead cross here, and that's not really a positive for market. It could indicate at least it will be an obstacle. It will be a challenge to establish a real bullish trend. In Asia, Seng has had a good day, 2.2 higher, and it has now taken back half of the sell-off here. Half of that, 50%, and it's currently back above just around 22,000, just above 22,000, and 50% here. It could bounce further up to resistance around 22,638, where we have the 55 moving average. The RSI is still negative, but could go up and test 60 threshold. It needs to close above to show positive sentiment. If it does close above this level here, well, then we could. And then it actually has closed this gap here, also massive gap, and that's what it's working on. However, if it slides back, closing below the cloud and also closing below 21,400, then downtrend could resume. In Europe, fairly interesting to say the least. 4,988 minor resistance here. We have the 200 moving average also giving some resistance. But what is interesting towards is that pre-market we are about 1% compared to the close yesterday, and above 5,000. If it can close above 5,068, well, then there could be a further upside potential. It will be a struggle, I would say, but we have the if we add Fibonacci to this, you can see we have the 61.8 here at 5,139. Where we have the 100 moving average. So there could be potential up to there, and let's see if it can actually get back further upside to 5,300 level. That would be key what's happening with the RSI. The DAX index is still 21,302, but if the market opens as the CFD is indicating, well, then it will get back above it, 21,800, just around that level we are trading at the moment. So we have established a short-term bullish trend at least, and that could take, and let's look at the DAX index again, that could take it up to 20,148 resistance. It seems to be a correction time in euro dollar and other FX pairs for that matter, which we're going to look at in a minute. Euro dollar that spiked almost up to 116, 115.73, and then sell off a hit, or at least what do we call it, profit taking maybe. We could see a correction down to 112.50, but it has bounced somewhat. So if it takes out 115.75, then there's still room up to 117. And on the weekly, as we can see on the right side, RSI is still positive. There's no divergence indicating likely higher levels, but we could see a correction. It could even be a bigger correction if it takes out 112.50, maybe even down to around 110.54. I'm not quite sure about that, but it's not totally out of the question. We have the same in cable sterling dollar. Tries to get it almost touched the 134.35 resistance, just a few pips below it, and it seems like we have a little bit of a correction going on. 131.50 should be in the cards. But we are in a bullish trend, and I don't think there's any divergence, so indicating we are likely to see higher levels. Yes, there's no divergence on the RSI, so we are likely to see higher levels after a correction, but it will be a bit of a struggle, and I think we need a correction. Euro sterling 85.19, that's the key support here that should be observed. If it takes out that, then we're looking at 84.60, 84.50 support area, but it needs to take out 86.25 to resume uptrend towards 87. Dollar yen has bounced, as we talked about yesterday, from 140.25, dipped a little bit below, but has bounced and is trying to get up to the 38.2 correction at 144.20. Could bounce all the way up to 146.5, 146.88 in this region there, unless it take out 140 or the lows here from yesterday. If it does that, then we're looking 137. So that's the key levels to watch out for. Euro yen still frustrating without clear direction, just a lot of noise, just a lot of volatility. It's still this range 164.20 and 158.35 that should be observed here. We are about the cloud. There is positive sentiment. It should push higher, but it hasn't really materialized just yet. Aussie yen could be crawling up towards the 92, 91.80, where there's some resistance. If it takes it out, then we're looking at 93, 93.15 minor resistance, and the upper falling trend line there. That I think we should adjust just a little bit. There we are. So if it takes out the lows from yesterday, 89.60, I always subtract a little bit or add a little bit. So 89.60, then we could see it resuming downtrend, because there's negative sentiment on the RSI, and if RSI pushes back below 40, well, then downtrend is resuming. So it could be a little bit of a struggling to get up there. The sterling yen resistance at 190.10 in this region here. We have the 21 coming down, the 55 moving average coming down, kind of putting a lid on it. Still negative sentiment. We see a spike up there. Didn't get too much, but if it could get above 190.20, then could be potential to 191.5, maybe 192. Otherwise, if it takes out the lows down here from a couple of days ago, well, then the downtrend is likely to resume. Aussie dollar dancing around the 64 area, a bit up and below this kind of pivot point, resistance, then is a support. Positive sentiment, bullish trend. We should see it pushing higher towards 65.5, but it is a little bit of a struggling. But 55 moving averages will come up here and give it some support. We are above the cloud. The 100 moving still declining, but I think it will turn around slowly. So maybe just a little bit of a sideways stepping here before the next move higher. The dollar Canada seems to find some support here around 138. could still dip to 137.5, 137.40, and there is actually a medium-term downside potential to 136.5 and the lower rising trend line here. But maybe we are in for a bit of a correction that could take it up to the 140 level, where we have the 200 moving average kind of giving it a little bit of resistance, and we also have 21 coming down. We can also see that here between the 55 and the 100, 55 broke below 100, they're both declining. That is not a buy signal, but we could still see some correction going on. Sterling Canada established a little bit of bullish trend, higher high, higher low, higher high here. But we need the RSI to get back above 60 threshold and close above it to really establish and confirm a bullish trend that can take it higher. We are above the cloud. 55 moving average is rising, and 100 and 200. So the underlying sentiment is there. We just need a confirmation in the RSI to close above 60 threshold. Then I think we'll see Sterling Canada push higher. If it takes out 183, then we could see a correction down to around 181. EURSWISS has corrected or bounced to 38.2 retracement and 93.77. Could bounce further. Could bounce up to 94.25, possibly up to 94.75, which is a 61.8 retracement of this sell-off here. If it's being rejected and starts sliding lower, then downtrend could resume. We have already a negative sentiment on the RSI. If it closes back below 40 threshold, then downtrend is likely to resume. But as we can see here on the week, we have really strong support in this region between 90 and 90.5, where it's been testing quite a few times and bounced every single time. So I think it will keep bouncing a little bit. The dollar Swiss also in bouncing mode, could bounce up to the 38.2 retracement at 83.50, and I measured it from up here. I could measure it from up here, but this is the last the latest leg down, so it seems like we are having a correction at least up to, I think, this level, possibly higher. If it starts crawling above 83.55 ish, then we could see a bounce up to 84.5, maybe even up to 61.8 at 85.40. If it takes out the lows here from a couple of days ago at 80.39, and then always subtract a little bit, then downtrend is likely to resume. But it seems like we are in for a correction at the moment. The dollar index also bounces. What is interesting, there's no divergence on the RSI indicating we could see lower levels, but it's not a given. So I think we will see a correction up to at least 100 spot 23, possibly up to 61.8 at 101.80. But here we also have a dead cross. We have the 55 breaking below the 200. They're both declining, indicating we could see lower levels. There's an underlying medium-term bearish trend. Gold also seems to be in a correction mode after just touching 3,500. We are very close to the 38.2 retracement at 3,292. We could see a correction all the way down to around the 61.8 retracement at 3,164, and there will be quite strong support. You can also see we have this spike up here, so that will add to the support level. 3,167. So in this region here, in this area around 3,165, there is some strong support that could be observed. But we are in for a correction at the moment, so keep an eye on the USD. Really stretched here, and the RSI is indicating trend exhaustion at least short to medium term. So correction could be seen. But if it takes out 3,500, well, yes, then of course we are looking at 3,600, and I have also some indicators, not shown on this, but it could indicate that we could reach even higher levels after a correction towards 3,800. But this is not, this video is not an advice or recommendation to buy or sell whatsoever. This is for educational purposes only, so no recommendation there. The silver Silver reached almost the 786 retracement, but couldn't quite get up there. So now it seems caught range bound here between 33.15 and 32 and a bit. And this is the range it needs to break out. Still negative sentiment on the RSI. If it takes out 32 to downside, then I think we could see it setting back to 31. What I will actually do, I will say, okay, we could see a bit of correction, pushing it back lower. 31.30, maybe down to 30 and 30.80. Then we have copper, of course, as usual. It was just actually now pushing higher, and it's above the cloud. It is above 61.8 retracement. It has taken out the minor resistance here in the region around 485. Key will be, can RSI close above 60 threshold or not? If it's being rejected, then we can see a setback to 470. If it closes above, well, then there's definitely potential above 480, at least up to 4.8, possibly back to the previous peaks here. So a very strong bounce indeed at the moment in copper. Crude oil, WTI, still bouncing, and I think we will see it towards the 61.8 retracement there at 65.73. Possibly higher, could actually bounce all the way up to the 786 retracement. I think I removed this one. 786 retracement at 68.61. Then we have the 55 coming down there, giving some resistance. Key will also be, can RSI get up there and close above 60 threshold? I'm not quite sure it will. It could be rejected up there, and we could see WTI crude oil be rejected up here at the cloud, the lower part of the cloud, and the 786 retracement. We have Brent crude oil also crawling higher towards its 61.8 retracement, just below 69. If it takes out that, well, then there's also potential up to just around 72, 71.80. The European nat gas, not really doing much the past couple of days. We're still in a downtrend. Could still take it to the 32 support level. If it takes out 32 here, well, then I think we will see it pushing even lower towards the 30 level. There should be correction potential up to at least 36.77, but it seems to be struggling a little bit. US nat gas, Henry Hub, dipped just below $3 yesterday. Now we are above. I think we will see a little bit of a correction, and what I will do then, I'll say, okay, this push down here, or this sell-off down here, we could see a correction up to 345, very short term. But the tide has really turned, and if we can close below $3 here, then there could be further downside potential to 275 to 56 level. Moving on to yields and US Treasury yields. Well, yes, we still have the moving averages at least the 55 dragging it lower, but key support here at 425 is key. Positive sentiment on the RSI though, because it actually closed above 60 threshold there about a week ago, but it actually needs to close above the cloud. We need a bullish trend, or we need to establish a bullish trend, and also another close above 60 threshold to confirm that. But we don't like high interest rates, so maybe we should hope for 426. 425 here, support here to be taken out. Let's see about that. The short term, the 2 year, just dancing around in this region between 370 and 395. In the European, the Euro 10 year still is, well, bouncing a little bit today, but we are in a bearish trend. Could still see it down to 240, 237, where we have some support before a bounce. Negative sentiment on the RSI, no divergence indicating we could see lower levels. The UK 10 year testing the 61.8 retracement at the moment. At 454. If it takes it out the lows here, well, then we could see it down here to 447. Moving on to Bitcoin. Bitcoin very strong move yesterday to 138.2 projection of this correction here. I think we could test the resistance here at 95,120.30. I always add a little bit. So 95,130, and that could establish a bullish trend even further. So we could actually see it pushing higher towards the next resistance area, and possibly also then we could be back to these levels up here. So, but we have just around 100,000. There could be some resistance. Positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels. Ethereum also bouncing back above 1755, could push towards 2,100. All right, that's all for today. It seems to be, at least to begin with, a quite good day on the US stock markets and the European stock market that's about to open in about half an hour. So have a nice day, and talk to you again.